Welcome, basketball fans, and thank you for tuning in to today's incredibly special, comprehensive deep dive into the recent earthquake that has shaken the landscape of the Philippine Basketball Association. Today, we are talking about a triumph that goes far beyond the box scores, a narrative that intertwines redemption, unyielding faith, strategic brilliance, and the silencing of critics. We are looking at the Barangay Ginebra San Miguel, the newly crowned champions of the PBA Season 50 Commissioner's Cup, a team that once again proved why they are the undisputed kings of Philippine hoops. But this victory is not just another banner hanging in the rafters. It is a profound statement, punctuated by the fiery words of San Miguel Corporation Sports Director Alfrancis Chua, who openly questioned the narratives of doubt surrounding the team, and immortalized by the emotional declaration of veteran big man Troy Rosario, who finally grasped the ultimate prize with his dream franchise and declared his professional career complete. We have an extraordinary amount of ground to cover today, so settle in as we unpack every layer of this historic championship run. Let us start by painting the picture of the climax. A grueling, highly physical, incredibly emotional best-of-7 series against their modern-day rivals, the TNT Tropang Giga. This was a final series that pushed both teams to the absolute limit, stretching to a decisive Game 7 in front of over 24,000 screaming fans at the SM Mall of Asia Arena. And when the final buzzer sounded, it was Barangay Ginebra standing tall, completing an 88-76 comeback victory that ended a 3-year title drought in the Commissioner's Cup. But to truly understand the magnitude of this win, we have to rewind and look at the noise that surrounded this team heading into the playoffs and the finals. For weeks, if not months, murmurs have been circulating in the basketball community, on social media, and among pundits. The whispers were consistent and loud. Ginebra is aging. Ginebra is too dependent on Justin Brownlee. Ginebra does not have the depth to keep up with the younger, faster, more athletic teams. Ginebra is not as strong as they used to be. These criticisms did not go unnoticed. They reached the locker room. They reached the coaching staff. And most importantly, they reached the ears of Alfrancis Chua. In the aftermath of the championship victory, amidst the falling confetti and the deafening roars of the Barangay faithful, Chua addressed these doubts head-on. He asked a simple yet incredibly loaded question. Why is it said that Ginebra is not strong? This was not just a rhetorical query. It was a fiery rebuttal to every analyst who picked against them, to every detractor who claimed their championship window had closed. Chua's words encapsulate the collective chip on the shoulder that this entire roster carried throughout the conference. They absorbed the negativity, internalized the skepticism, and used it as the ultimate motivational fuel. When you look at the landscape of the league, with teams loading up on explosive talent and revolutionary systems, it is easy to see why some might have overlooked the Gin Kings. But what the critics failed to measure was the intangible resolve, the championship pedigree, and the sheer force of will that defines the never-say-die spirit. Chua's challenge to the doubters serves as a reminder that strength in basketball is not solely measured by youth or highlight reel athleticism. It is measured by execution under pressure, by defensive tenacity, and by the ability to win when the stakes are at their absolute highest. And no player embodies the emotional weight of this particular championship more than Troy Rosario. Let's talk about Troy, a player whose journey to this exact moment is the stuff of cinematic sports dramas. For years, Rosario was a pillar of the TNT franchise, a versatile big man who could stretch the floor, rebound with ferocity, and defend multiple positions. He was a cornerstone of their system, a player who gave his blood, sweat, and tears to the Tropang Giga. Yet, despite his individual brilliance, his ultimate dream was always to wear the iconic Ginebra jersey. That dream became a reality when he signed with the team as an unrestricted free agent in late 2024. But joining the team of your dreams is only half the battle. Delivering a championship is the true measure of success. And for Rosario, this title was not just about adding another trophy to his cabinet. It was about fulfilling a lifelong destiny. Following the Game 7 victory, an emotional Rosario delivered a quote that instantly became etched in PBA lore. He said, and I quote, "I am not retiring yet, but even now my career in the pros is complete." Let those words sink in. My career is complete. This is coming from a man who has won titles before, a former second overall pick, a multi-time All-Star, a staple of the national team. Yet, None of those previous accolades carried the same profound, soul-satisfying weight as winning a championship with Barangay Ginebra. It validates every grueling practice, every injury rehabilitation, every moment of doubt he may have experienced throughout his decade-long career. Rosario's performance in this series, especially his heroics in the pivotal Game 5 overtime victory, where he atoned for a crucial mistake by hitting the clutch basket, perfectly encapsulates the never say die mantra. He battled through a lingering ankle injury. He faced down his former team, and he emerged victorious, slamming home a two-handed dunk in the dying seconds of Game 7 to put the definitive exclamation point on the series. His story is a testament to perseverance, to believing in your dreams, and to stepping up when your team needs you the most. As we transition into our deep dive analysis, we must dissect exactly how Barangay Ginebra overcame the monumental challenge presented by TNT and silenced the critics who claimed they were no longer a dominant force. This championship was not won by accident. It was a masterclass in strategic adaptation, mental fortitude, and leveraging the unique strengths of their roster. We need to look closely at the tactical brilliance of Coach Tim Cone, the transcendental performance of Justin Brownlee, the surprise emergence of Scottie Thompson as the finals MVP, and the holistic defensive schemes that neutralize one of the most potent offenses in the league. First and foremost, let's address the tactical chess match between Tim Cone and the TNT coaching staff. The Tropang Giga came into the series with a formidable weapon in Chris McCullough, an import who was putting up absolute video game numbers. McCullough was an offensive juggernaut, capable of scoring from anywhere on the floor, and in Game 6, he exploded for 53 points and 22 rebounds. A performance like that would demoralize most teams, but not Ginebra. The genius of Tim Cone lies in his ability to make micro-adjustments, to understand that you cannot always stop a great player, but you can disrupt the rhythm of the entire team. Cone and his staff devised offensive schemes that made McCullough work for every single point, throwing different looks at him, utilizing the length of Japeth Aguilar, the physicality of Raymond Aguilar, and the timely help defense from the perimeter players. But more importantly, Ginebra shut down the supporting cast. They dared TNT's local players to beat them, stunting passing lanes, closing out hard on shooters, and dominating the rebounding battle. This defensive discipline is what truly makes Ginebra strong. It is not always flashy. It does not always produce viral highlights, but it wins championships. Then there's the undeniable legendary presence of Justin Brownlee. Whenever the conversation arises about whether Ginebra is strong enough, the answer almost always begins and ends with Brownlee. In this series, he elevated his game to a level that transcends normal basketball comprehension. From scoring 54 points in an overtime thriller to his consistent, steadying influence in the most chaotic moments of the game, Brownlee proved once again that he is arguably the greatest import in the history of the Philippine Basketball Association. But what makes Brownlee's performance so remarkable is not just his scoring output. It is his efficiency, his basketball IQ, and his unparalleled ability to elevate the play of his teammates. He reads the defense like a supercomputer, knowing exactly when to take over and when to defer. In the moments when Ginebra's offense stagnated, when the crowd grew anxious, Brownlee was the ultimate safety valve, creating something out of nothing and hitting shots with a degree of difficulty that defies logic. However, as Alfrancis Chua implicitly pointed out, a team is not truly strong if it relies solely on its import. The beauty of his championship run was a collective effort of the local cast, perfectly epitomized by Scottie Thompson winning his third Finals MVP award. Thompson's selection came as a surprise to many, including Scottie himself, who has already played with confetti on the floor with his children when his name was called. But when you look at the totality of the series, Thompson's impact is undeniable. He averaged over 10 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists, including a triple-double performance that showcases unmatched versatility. Thompson is the engine that drives Ginebra's transition game, the relentless rebounder who secures extra possessions, and the vocal leader who sets the tone defensively. His ability to impact the game without necessarily scoring 20 points a night is a rare and invaluable commodity. Alongside Thompson, the contributions of rookie sensation R.J. Barrientos cannot be overstated. Barrientos brought a level of fearlessness and perimeter shot, making that Ginebra desperately needed, providing a crucial secondary scoring punch and relieving the pressure on Brownlee. Furthermore, we must delve deeper into the narrative of Troy Rosario, because his integration into this Ginebra system is a fascinating case study in roster construction and player redemption. When Rosario first signed, the expectations were sky high, but integrating a veteran star into an established championship culture is never a seamless process. There were growing pains, there were injuries, and there were questions about how his skill set would mesh with the triangle offense principles that Tim Cohn employs. But Rosario proved to be the consummate professional. He accepted his role, whether it was starting or coming off the bench, focusing on doing the dirty work, setting hard screens, spacing the floor, and defending the opposing team's biggest threats. His performance in the finals, against the very team that drafted him and where he spent the prime years of his career, adds an incredible layer of poetic justice. When Rosario fumbled an alley-oop pass at the end of regulation in Game 5, it could have broken him. It could have been the moment that defined his series in a negative light. Instead, he channeled that frustration into absolute focus, scoring crucial baskets in overtime and proving his mental resilience. That is the hallmark of a true champion. The critics who labeled Ginebra as not strong fail to account for the emotional synergy that this team possesses. Basketball is not played on spreadsheets. It is played on hardwood by human beings who are driven by emotion, by pride, and by the roar of the crowd. The Barangay Ginebra fan base is not just an audience. They are an active participant in the game. The energy inside the Mall of Asia Arena during Game 7 was a tangible force, a wave of sound that fueled the Gin Kings' comeback and rattled the Tropang Giga. When Alfrancis Chua speaks out against the detractors, he is also defending the faith of millions of fans who never wavered in their support. This championship is a validation of that bond between the team and its supporters, a symbiotic relationship that creates an environment where miracles feel entirely plausible. As we look at the broader implications of this victory, it is clear that Barangay Ginebra has reestablished itself at the absolute pinnacle of Philippine basketball. They have proven that their unique blend of veteran experience, strategic brilliance, and unmatched heart is still the gold standard in the league. The questions about their strength have been answered decisively, not with words, but with a championship trophy held high amidst a sea of red and white confetti. They have shown that while the league may be evolving, the fundamental principles of team defense, unselfish play, and sheer determination never go out of style. This brings us to the conclusion of our extensive analysis. What we have witnessed is not merely a basketball team winning a tournament. We have witnessed a masterclass in resilience and a complete destruction of negative narratives. Alfrancis Chua's poignant question, "Why is it said that Ginebra is not strong?" will echo throughout the halls of the PBA for years to come as a warning to anyone who dares to underestimate the heart of a champion. They faced a monumental challenge in TNT, a team loaded with talent and driven by their own desire for greatness. But Ginebra dug deeper, fought harder, and executed with lethal precision when it mattered the most. And for Troy Rosario, this championship is the ultimate crowning achievement, the final piece of the puzzle that makes his illustrious career feel whole and complete. He chased a dream. He faced adversity. He battled through physical pain and the emotional weight of playing against his former brothers, and he emerged victorious. His story will be an inspiration to young basketball players across the nation, a reminder that the path to greatness is rarely easy, but the reward at the end of the journey is worth every ounce of struggle. As for Barangay Ginebra, they will celebrate this hard-fought victory, but the work never truly stops. The target on their back has only grown larger, and the rest of the league will spend the offseason devising new ways to dethrone the Kings. But for now, they reign supreme, their legacy enhanced, their critics silenced, and their status as the most beloved and resilient team in the land completely unquestioned. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into one of the most compelling championship stories in recent PBA history. Keep loving the game, keep analyzing the narratives, and we will see you next time for more extensive basketball coverage.